everyone, and welcome to the Norisring. Here we are ahead of DTM Free Practice session and our fourth event of this fantastic 2022 calendar. So the weather conditions as we look at the famed Norisring circuit are not as we'd hoped for or imagined today. As you can see, it's really rather damp, which is not reflective of what we're expecting for the race days on Saturday and Sunday, where we are expecting it to be blessed with blistering sunshine, but that is clearly not the case at the moment. It has stopped raining, to be fair, but the track conditions are somewhat damp, it has to be said. Ahead of the free practice session as we come here, of course, it's Sheldon Vanderlinder leading the way in terms of the Drivers' Championship points, ahead of Mirko Bortolotti and Nico Muller. They are the top three at the moment. 27 cars will take to the track for this free practice session. We have two free practice sessions across the day today, and as you can see already, spectators coming here to this fine circuit to enjoy the on-track action across the course of this weekend. History and legend will have it that Norisring, always one of the most populated events on the DTM calendar, and it is one that is revered and looked forward to by tens of thousands. 2.3 kilometers. Now, depending on which way you look at it, there's either 4 turns or 8 turns. How do you work that out, Dave? Well, basically, it's 2 straights delineated by a chicane with a corner at each end. As we see Clemens Vanderlinder then for ABT Sportsline in discussions ahead of going out for this free practice session. And I question, and difficult to imagine what they're going to gain from this free practice session, given that the track conditions tomorrow are going to be so different to what we can expect tomorrow. So the ABT team garages that we look at, and incidentally, the pit lane here at the Norisring is the biggest pit lane ever in its history because of the sheer volume of cars, of course, that take part in the DTM nowadays. And we're just 2.5 minutes, as near as makes no difference, away from the start of this free practice session. And I was having a chat with Rene Rast just before heading into this studio. And Rene, as always, is cool self ahead of the start of the FP session. As I say, how much we're going to take out of this relative to where the cars and drivers will be when it comes to qualifying tomorrow is a moot point, and one to be, of course, looked at tomorrow. So the marshals then standing by, so we are just under 2 minutes away from the drivers taking to the track. It's going to be a very busy track across the 2 free practice sessions that we have today and tomorrow. Sorry, today and this morning and this afternoon, I should have said, as we look at the GRT driver Mirko Bortolotti, currently sitting then P2 in the points, 12 points behind Sheldon Vanderlinder. And he will be hoping for good point-scoring opportunities this weekend here at the Norisring. As always, a hive of activity, as you can see, drivers and cars lining up ahead of the pit lane exit, going from red to green. And there we can see the number 88 car of Mauro Engel. Mauro, of course, his second stint, if you will, in the DTM. Truly one of the really nice guys in motor racing is Mauro. And Mauro at the moment sitting P7 in the points, having taken 1 podium across the season so far. So who is it that's first out of the blocks then? Dev Gore, as you can see, lined up at the start of the pit lane. And there you can see the number 7 car of Ricardo Feller. Interestingly, Ricardo Feller's pit box very close to our commentary studio. What a great shot this is, as the cars are raring to go, and they have but 20 seconds to wait before we get the first of these 2 FP sessions underway. 27 cars then. Absolutely awesome. And final checks have been made across the track, and we are but a few seconds away from getting the green lights. Let's count you down. Now we should go green, and FP1 will get underway. So cars tentatively making their way out of the pit lane then. Felipe Fraga we saw there in the Ferrari. And all of a sudden the pit lane becomes very, very busy as we get the green flag underway, and out of the pit lane head down towards what is turn number 2, which is the Grundig turn, which is where we find the cars now. Maxi Goetz in the number 1 Mercedes, by dint, of course, of his championship success, which was sealed here late last year, you may recall. Arjun Maini, we can see in that Mercedes, and then there is René Rast. Now, what's really interesting and what I find absolutely fascinating about the Norisring circuit is when you go through the Scholleresses, the chicane, and you'll see it here as we follow the cars around through the second part of the Scholleresses here. And what will make a real difference is you can see there is a difference between the tarmac, and if you run right outside to the wall, you go onto that concrete paved area. Now, were there to be any further rain showers, that would really impact the adhesion levels that are available to the drivers and the cars. However, at the moment, it's steadfastly dry, but there is a lot of cloud hanging around, so who knows? We have 43 and a half minutes of this free practice session, and once we get some meaningful times, though quite how meaningful they're going to be in comparison to what we will see tomorrow is still to be decided.
I can still see some wet patches where you are now, but let me know.
So on the team radio of Arjun Maini then, reporting that there are still some damp patches out there on the track potentially. You can really see the dry line because, of course, other supporting classes have been out on track and have effectively dried the track nicely to allow the cars to go out there. So we run the clock on Laurens Vanthoor then for SSR Performance. And you can see the graphics at the bottom of your screen. And so René decides to come back into the pit lane. Meaningful times to come, but we do have times on the board from Laurens Vanthoor and also from Grenier and Feller and Arjun Maini and Lugiauer and Maxi Goetz and Ayhancan Guven. We welcome Ayhancan into the AlphaTauri AF Corse Ferrari for this weekend as Dennis Olsen now goes fastest with a time of 52.713. This is the car of Laurens Vanthoor, and as you can see, he's about to send Dennis Olsen probably into P2. So we await Laurens Vanthoor crossing the timing line then, and actually not the improvement that he was looking for. So Dennis Olsen still the fastest driver in the early stages of this FP session, ahead of Laurens Vanthoor. And then it is Mika Grenier who is third fastest. Number 77 car of Marco Vittman, you just saw going through the Scholleresses. Of course, he gets a tremendous support here at the Norisring. Very much a home gig for Marco Vittman. Lives just down the road in Fort, which is literally 20 minutes or so from the city centre of Nuremberg, which is where the Norisring is situated, which is perhaps about an hour and 5 minutes drive time from Munich. A truly iconic circuit that has played host to the DTM for many, many years. Whoa, Dennis Olsen then. Well, you can see Laurens Vanthoor having to take evasive action. Dennis Olsen now has put in a purple sector through sector 2, so he is on something of a charge and is already the fastest driver out there. We've got two drivers in the 52s, and interestingly, they are both the Porsches from SSR Performance, a 52.7 and a 52.9. Make that a 52.6 now from Dennis Olsen. Lucas out, personal best through sector 1 and sector 2. You can see from the graphics at the bottom of the screen. So it's Olsen and Vanthoor at the moment trading places right at the top. Best of the Ferraris is Ayhancan Guven, and the best of the Audis is Zug, and Lugiauer now goes second fastest. And here we can see, now that's why dramatic and evasive action had to be taken by Laurens Vanthoor to prevent him clattering into the Mercedes ahead of him. So the number 94 car of Dennis Olsen then. Again, a slight improvement. It's 52.4 now. A full 4/10 ahead of Lugiauer. Maxi Goertz is trying to, once again, Dennis Olsen runs really, really deep into that Grundig turn. So making way and allowing faster cars through. Maro Engel, truly gentlemanly in terms of conduct out there on track, with 40 minutes still to run. Ayenchan Guven has put it into P3 for the AlphaTauri AF Corsa car with a 52.571. So now we find the top, make that the, I was going to say top 5, make it the top 6 cars as, in the 52s. And right at the top of the chart now, as you can see, is Clemens Schmidt for the GRT Grasser Racing team, putting Lamborghini fastest in this FP1 session. So it's Schmidt from Olsen, from Rast, who is P3, Ayenchan Guven then P4. Then it's Luke Zhao, Lawrence Vantor, Lucas Stolz P7. Maxi Goertz, the best he can do is P8 at the moment, but René Rast is on a charge here, having already delivered a time of 52.525. He has now done 2 overall best sectors. So this could be a new fastest time in this FP session from René Rast, as the track is drying out nicely and really coming to our DTM drivers now. And he does cross the line. He takes a huge chunk out of the Clemens Schmidt time of some 7.5 tenths, 51.527 from René Rast. So extraordinarily good driving from René in the early stages of this FP session. And just laying something of a marker down as we watch Lucas Stolz now, who delivers a 51.763. He becomes the second driver to put it into the 51s. He joins René Rast in that somewhat exclusive club at the moment, with Schmidt, Olsen, Guven, Auer, Vantor, Fraga, Goertz and Bortolotti rounding out the top 10 at the moment. All the order, of course, on the left-hand side of the screen for you, and still times to come from a number of drivers, or certainly meaningful times to come from a number of our drivers yet. Now, with every single lap that's put on, of course, the track, providing there are no further showers, and looking from our commentary studio at the moment, it looks like we are relatively shower-free, so it is it's always going to dry out. And we watch Felipe Fraga then in the number 74 Red Bull AlphaTauri AF Corsa car. And Felipe Fraga on something of a mission now, with an overall best through Sector 1. René Rast, 51.248 is the time to be beaten at the moment. Fraga then does a personal best through Sector 2. Therefore, this time might not be the one that's going to trouble René Rast and Ayenchan Guven at the moment, but we know the pace is there in the Ferrari car, because Ayenchan Guven is P2 as Felipe Fraga does cross the line and vaults his teammate and goes P2, and at the same time Thomas Preining goes P3. So we now have some 5 cars all in the 51 times. Rast, Fraga, Preining, Guven and Stolz are all those drivers that are in the 51s. Everyone else in the 52s and 53s at the moment. Rast has improved through the middle sector, as you can see from the grid graphic box to the right-hand side of the bottom of your screen. If it goes purple, it means it is an overall best time, and Thomas Preining doing the same. Dennis Olsen has done it through Sector 1. And René Rast now shaves some more time off and delivers a 50.935 and becomes the first driver to put it into the 50s. 9/100ths behind is Thomas Preining. And then it's Grenier, who is P4, as Dennis Olsen now also puts it into the 50s with a 50.812. So Dennis Olsen on an absolute mission here. And the places being traded already, the top 4 places split between Porsche, Audi and Mercedes-Benz, with Ferrari having been knocked down to P7 and P8 with Felipe Fraga and Ayenchan Guven as well, who of course is in this weekend. Rast improved through the middle sector, but not by enough to trouble the time of Dennis Olsen or indeed Thomas Preining for KUS team Bernhard, who has gone second fastest, literally 9/100ths slower than Dennis Olsen. So P1 and P2, both with Porsche cars at the moment for SSR Performance and KUS team Bernhard. They are the fastest cars out there on track with just over half an hour of this session remaining. We can see Sheldon Vanderlinder out there on the right-hand side, just on something of a sighting lap. Olsen, Preining, Rast. Then it's Stoltz and Fraga. Fraga improving then with a 51.258. And Dennis Olsen improving still further, as indeed is Thomas Preining. And rather think that this will be the story if we get no further showers, because the track is really coming to the drivers. So into the Grundig turn goes the number 24 car of Thomas Preining, who is now top and being chased by this man, Dennis Olsen. So Thomas Preining then with a 50.705. Lucas Stoltz is a P5, Marangal P6 at the moment. And Rene Rast then through the middle sector has given us another purple sector, as indeed has Thomas Preining, as Kelvin Vanderlinder vaults for Abt Sportsline up to P3 with a time of 50.856. Now, being told that car number 88 of Maro Engel is under investigation for potential pit lane speeding. Any news on that, and we will bring it to you. You are watching, and we are enjoying the first of two free practice sessions today, Friday, here at the Norisring, as DTM reaches its fourth event of our 2022 calendar, off the back of a wonderful couple of races at Imola, with Olsen and Preining a Porsche lockout at the moment in terms of topping out the times. Then it's Rene Rast and Kelvin Vanderlinder. Then we find the number 55 car of Michael Grenier. And now diving straight into P6 is Clemens Schmidt. So the success story that is the DTM, with Ricardo Feller now breaking into the top 10 at P9. Some 27 cars for this weekend. No one at the moment looking at our timing screen is doing purple sectors. So it's Olsen and Preining, who are fairly well cemented into that P1 and P2 position at the moment, ahead of Rene Rast and Kelvin Vanderlinder. The only other driver that has put it into the 50 time band, if you will, is Grenier for the Mercedes-AMG team Group M Racing. This is just such a wonderful circuit and a privilege and joy to be here, sitting in for Chris Hartley this weekend. As you can see there just how close Felipe Fraga is prepared to throw the car, heading towards the wall on the exit of the S's. And there you can see now the drivers are being very, very brave and using the paved area, which is offering sufficient adhesion to give them the perfect trajectory along the Zeppelinstrasse and into the Dutzendijk turn. Diving into the pits then. And here we can see in replay that is the reason why. Because there's me saying, going to use every single piece of tarmac and concrete as well. Sometimes you can use just a bit too much as the rear view mirror parts company with the rest of the car. So the number 74 car of Felipe Fraga then Gets close, but not so close as Dennis Olsen did to the really rather unforgiving concrete wall. Olsen, Preining, Rast, Vanderlinder, and Lucas Stoltz, the top 5. Across the timing line here at the Norisring. The cars all head into the first real turn, the Grundig turn. Oh, and just a bit wayward with the back end for Felipe Fraga. And of course, when the car is moving even just millimeters sideways, it's actually scrubbing speed off and not the quickest way around the track. Quite some personal bests coming, but no purple sectors currently. But there is still plenty of time remaining in this FP session. So the 488 then. Wonderful, wonderful mix of cars in the DTM, of course. The mix of manufacturers as the Ferrari goes by the Lamborghini. And does, again, get very, very close to the wall, but within millimeters of hoofing the rearview mirror off the body of the car. Arjun Maini we watch now as he crosses the timing line. He's currently 8th fastest for the Team HRT Mercedes AMG. A super young driver is Arjun Maini, and a delight to have him in the DTM, of course, for second year of asking. Hugely distinctive car, livery through the Scholler S's. Again, using lots of that concrete paved area before coming back down onto the tarmac. Nico Muller with an 18.25 through sector 1. Now, interestingly, Kelvin Vanderlinder has found some time, and all the margins are minuscule here at Norisring because it is such a short track, just 2.3 kilometers, 5 left-handers, 3 right-handers. And Kelvin Vanderlinder currently 3rd fastest with a 50.479. I mean, the margin between P1 and P3 in this FP session is literally a 10th and 3/4. They're very, very close indeed. And we now have something like 14 drivers all in the 50s time. Final one of those is Dev Gore driving for Team Rosberg. The very car that we look at now being chased down by the number 74, Felipe Fraga car. So Dev Gore in the Audi ahead of Felipe Fraga currently. And another personal best from Felipe then through sector 1. In terms of the overall situation, Felipe currently sitting in P10, about to round out another lap of the Norisring circuit as you run towards the line and shortcut as much as you can. It's a 50.71. So no change for Felipe in terms of moving up the order which is being ruled with a rod of iron at the moment by the Porsche drivers, Dennis Olsen for SSR Performance and Thomas Preining for KUS Team Bernard. So through the Scholler S's then, you have to be oh so brave and get very, very close on the in and also on the out as well. Never ceases to amaze me. This is a wonderful onboard shot. On board with Marco Vittman then, giving us a real driver's eye perspective of the Scholler S's as we're in now. Right-hander first of all, see how close you get to the arm go, and then on the exit, and then really close to the concrete wall. So Marco Vittman then absolutely pummeling this car around the Norisring circuit. Just setting himself up for the next lap, I would suggest. So for Volkenhorst Motorsport then, last lap of 52.091. As Vittman heads towards breaking the timing beam now and improves significantly with a 51.36. But in terms of the order, it still means P20 for the local hero, Mega Marco Vittman. So staying on board and absolutely loving this onboard shot. And there you can see what the car looks like running into the chicane and out of the chicane. And there you can see Marco getting within just a few inches of the concrete wall as he tries to improve still further. So it's P10 at the moment for Marco Vittman. We'll actually make that now P22. Other drivers, of course, improving all the time. David Schumacher. First time we're seeing meaningful times from David. He's one of those drivers that hadn't been out in the early stages of this session, and as he does, he puts it P13. Clemens Schmidt has just gone third fastest with a 50.427. Mirko Bortolotti is on something of a charge as well, as we get into the final 25 minutes or so of this FP session. There is the Mirko Bortolotti car then, and Mirko Bortolotti with time to find, currently P21. Now, interestingly, if you look at the graphics boxes at the bottom of the screen, Dennis Olsen very, very quick through Sector 1. In fact, an overall best through Sector 1, and then maybe traffic impacted Sector 2 and Sector 3. 50.303 for Dennis Olsen, a 50.344 for Lawrence Vantor. Nico Mullo now goes third fastest for Team Rosberg with a 50.361. I mean, it's not tenths, it's hundredths that is splitting the top three. Absolutely superb, close fought fighting in the FP session for DTM here at the Norisring. First of two free practice sessions across the course of today before we get into the real deal business of qualifying tomorrow, of course, to set the grid for the race. This in replay then. Oh, absolutely gorgeous to watch power slide. But again, it's not the fastest way around the circuit, because as the car is moving sideways, so of course it is losing speed. So Mirko Bortolotti then in that really, really distinctive Lamborghini of GRT. Incidentally, Sheldon Vanderlinder, we are keeping our eyes on as well. Current points leader, of course, for Schubert Motorsport. Currently down there P10. It's academic, I suppose, in some regards, given that it is a free practice session. But of course, it is giving the drivers to the opportunity to be out there on the track, although we are expecting the track conditions and weather conditions that will impact and affect the track to be somewhat different when it comes to qualifying tomorrow. And who knows, with no more showers, could be different when it comes to the FP session to come later today, middle of the afternoon, in fact. And waved yellows now, full course yellow. So there you can see the marshals with the FCY board, meaning full course yellow, waved yellows then all the way around the track. And presumably, that's the reason why. It is just seemingly a AMG banner that has become detached from the wall, and therefore, rather than cause any problems to the drivers, is going to be reaffixed before we can go back to green again. So a bit of drama here in this free practice session. So full course yellow is out, and there you can see the marshals running to deal and attend to that. Cable ties and gaffer tape to the ready, I would suggest. And driver's taken the opportunity to come into the pit lane, of course. Absolutely no point being out there, really, because not going to achieve anything whilst the full course yellow is in effect. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, it's the biggest pit lane ever for the DTM here at Norisring this year. By dint of some 27 cars taking part this weekend. A huge success story and a big well done to everyone involved in creating this awesome racing series and maintaining this awesome racing series, as we see Maxi Book heading out of the pit lane, and he'll be in a fine position when we do get the greens again. And presumably it's not going to take our team very long to reaffix the stricken banner, and that will enable us to go back to the greens. We can also see Dev Gore pulling into the pit box there, and you can see underneath goes the wheels and jacks, which allow the car to be wheeled back into the garages. Now, it's a huge amount of work that goes into creating this Norisring circuit. I do have the official figures somewhere, but I mean, the work that goes on starts many weeks ahead of the event itself. And we are going back to green now, I'm led to believe. Our timing screen is showing us with a green flag, and sure enough, there it is, it's confirmed. So yes, an awful lot of work that goes into preparing and sorting this track. And on board here with Sheldon Vanderlinder, the current Drivers' Championship leader, sitting on 80 points, some 12 ahead of his nearest chaser, which is Mirko Bortolotti. So there you can see the trolleys that go underneath the car, and Sheldon will be right royally reversed into the garages, I would suggest. There you go. You can see him in conversation with the team then on the radio. And we're into the final 17.5 minutes of the qualifying, the free practice session. This is not qualifying, it is free practice. We can also see Nico Muller being pushed back into the garage as well. And all of a sudden it becomes really rather quiet. Also in the garages is Maro Engel, the number 88 car. Maro still well inside the car, as you can see, and all the data being analysed and looked at, and just some adjustments going onto the car. His personal best time, a 50.546, and as you can see, his last lap, which was impacted, of course, by the full course yellow, a 153.599, not meaningful at all. So, as we have the greater majority of cars. Hello, you're on the telly. It's nice to see you. Welcome to the Norisring. As we look at the list of cars, very nearly half the grid are in their garages at the moment, including Mirko Bortolotti for GRT. Mirko Bortolotti, who currently sits P2 in the...
Can you tell me the ABS thing that Frank is using?
In the Drivers' Championship. Just hear a little snippet of his team radio, and thanks to the engineers that are able to bring anything pertinent and relevant on the team radio. Now, Mirko Bortolotti's best time is a 50.872, which means he sits a lot further down the order in this FP session than he would like to. It's P21. But it is an FP session, free practice session, so do bear that in mind. Something of a Porsche lockout at the moment in terms of free practice, because it is Dennis Olsen, Thomas Preining, and Lawrence Vantor that are leading the way. The next best manufacturer is Audi with Nico Muller. And then we find in fifth place at the moment the number 85 car of Clemens Schmidt for GRT. There is the number 31 machine of Sheldon Vanderlinder heading out of the garage and pit lane now. The sequential gearbox being worked by the finger of his right hand, as you can see, as we are into the final quarter of an hour of this session. Maxi Gertz going through, and Sheldon just this very much an outlap and is for a number of the drivers. There were some drivers that stayed out there during the full course yellow, but the greater majority choosing to come back into the pit lane. And great to be on board with Maxi Goetz then, and you can see the graphics on the left-hand side of your screen. Onto the brakes now, back on the throttle as soon as he can. And just look at the speeds that are generated in these wonderful DTM cars. This, the fastest part of the circuit then across the start-finish line. 230 kilometers per hour, 240 now, 250 and 255 before he has to start applying the brake pedal to go round the Grundig turn. Personal best, a 50.711, which for Maxi Goetz means he is P19 at the moment. Of course, the current DTM champion has something of a liking for this place, being relatively local, and of course the place where he sealed his championship. So into the Dutzendijk turn now. The laps come and go so quickly. Well, it's quite obvious with lap times in the 50s, and expect those to be even quicker than that when it comes to dry, completely dry weather conditions. Oh, and this is wonderful. That onboard shot with Maxi Goetz hard at work inside the car then. So the clock being run on Felipe Fraga and also René Rast. So René Rast marginally quicker through Sector 1, 18.19 versus the 18.21 of Felipe Fraga. And Dennis Olsen once again meaning business here with a...
Yeah, at the moment.
So, as I was saying before being so rudely interrupted by the team radio of Maxi Goetz, Dennis Olsen on something of a mission to improve, and did so through Sector 2 and Sector 3, and is the first driver then to put it into the 49s. We are getting much closer to the times that we would expect to see from the DTM cars around the Norisring, because the dry line has been developed over the running of this FP session. There is a lot of cloud around, and it's quite windy as well, so the threat of another shower is never far away. But Dennis Olsen, the first of the drivers to put it into the 49s, a 49.957, therefore besting his brand teammate Thomas Preining by some 10th or so. Of course, different teams, but same brand of car. SSR Performance and KUS Team Bernard, who are currently arguing over the P1 place in this Free Practice 1 session. Thomas Preining not responding because he's in the pit lane. René Rast then, who we pick up on now, is third fastest with a 50.098, and he'll be hoping to improve upon that. And he's chasing down the car ahead of him, which is Felipe Fraga at the moment. So Vantor Rast and Kelvin Vanderlinder that we run the clocks on at the moment, and add Clemens Schmidt into the four-way mix of graphics that we can see at the bottom of the screen. Arjumani, incidentally, is very quietly chipping away at the times and is up to P5 for the Mercedes-AMG team HRT. Lucas Auer currently P6, Lawrence Vantor P7, Nico Muller is P8, ahead of Felipe Fraga and Clemens Schmidt rounding out the top 10 at the moment. But René Rast now with a 50.036 is second fastest, so he's split the Porsches of Dennis Olsen and Thomas Preining. And all of a sudden it gets very busy across the final 10.5 minutes of the FP session here. We're live from the Norisring, delighted that you're with us for this FP session and what will be a truly brilliant weekend of racing from the DTM. And of course, all the support categories that play host to this. It becomes something of a real festival atmosphere here at the Norisring, and that festival will be made altogether warmer, both in terms of temperature and in terms of just ambient feeling. Tomorrow when the weather conditions improve somewhat. Kelvin Vanderlinder then. And there the number 88 car of Maro Engel. So where is Kelvin Vanderlinder at the moment? Fifth fastest for Abt Sportsline with a 50.158. It's Olsen, Rast, Preining, the top three. Then it's Lucas Auer, then Kelvin Vanderlinder ahead of Vantor, Miney, and Engel, with Felipe Farago rounding out the top 10 at the moment and driving into the pit lane as we mention his name and car. Big welcome to Frank Pereira, of course, who is in this weekend as well in the number 19 Lamborghini. Spent many a good time talking about Frank in various racing categories over the years and in the DTM this weekend. Be very interesting to see how he can do. He's currently 16th fastest, so very much not shabby at the moment because the times are all so close. In fact, the top 24 cars are split by just 8/10. Extraordinary close, extraordinary close. Nico Muller is another driver that is under investigation for pit lane speeding. Also is Kelvin Vanderlinder. As René Rast goes to the top of the chart with a 49.919, taking 3/100ths out of Dennis Olsen at 49.957. Then Ayan Guven with the AlphaTauri AF Corsa car with a 49.976. So three drivers into the 49s, quietly going about their business, and René Rast at the moment is the quickest of them. So it's Audi, Porsche, Ferrari, the top three. So good split among the manufacturers, proving that the performance regulations across the different manufacturers really work in the DTM and make the racing and the free practice and the qualifying as close as it can possibly be, evenly matched across all the brands. Lights being flashed there by René Rast, who is on something of a hot lap. Will it be an improvement for René Rast? I wouldn't have suggested so, and sure enough it isn't. 49.919. Still the best from René Rast, which is enough to put him in P1 in this FP session. Dennis Olsen is on his way out to try and respond. Ayan Guven then is P3, ahead of Arjun Maini. Very good free practice performance from Arjun Maini. He's fourth fastest. Then it's Preining, Auer, Stoltz, Muller, Kelvin Vanderlinder P9, and Lawrence Vantor rounding out the top 10, and he's in the pit lane at the moment. Here comes the number 63 Lamborghini then of Marco Bortolotti. P2 in the Drivers' Championship, chasing down Sheldon Vanderlinder, who incidentally has not even broken into the top 10 yet in this FP session for Schubert Motorsport. He's currently 16th fastest. It is, though, but a free practice session, so all about just checking out the conditions of the track, the nuances of the track, which do change from year to year because, of course, it's like the German Monaco, isn't it? Street circuit, and gets used, of course, by road-going cars for most of the days of the year, and then just for one weekend it becomes this really wonderful racing circuit. Rast, Olsen, Preining, Guven, Maini, the top five, and no one's showing us any purple sectors in the final 6 minutes of the FP session. We're watching the number 24 car of Thomas Preining, who's currently third fastest and has just done a very quick middle sector. However, the first sector was not so good. He remains P3 with Ayan Guven P4. Sheldon Vanderlinder then keeping out of the way of those drivers that are on a hot lap. And we run the clock on Philipp Eng as well. Haven't seen a really meaningful time from Philipp Eng yet. His best has been a 50.827, which is P24. And Esteban Moot as well is another one with a 51.131 down in P26. And To my knowledge, and unless I have missed it, and I don't think I have, we've not seen a time from Alessio Dell'Ada. So main straight top performance then in terms of speed through the speed trap. Thomas Preining with a 256.2 kilometers per hour. Then it's Rast, then it's Gertz, then it's Meini, then it's Mauro Engel. So they are the fastest cars. So Porsche, an Audi, and 3 Mercedes-Benz, who clearly have the straight line speed, and that's proved by the main straight top performance. Main straight. That's when we're in the States, isn't it? Having some popcorn, which I can assure you we're not doing at this moment. Just under 5 minutes remaining in this FP session. Rast, Olsen, Preining then. And here we can see the car of Esteban Moot. So there I was just a few moments ago, extolling the virtues of Esteban then, and as if by magic, he appears out there on track with a hugely distinctive livery across the BMW. Looks absolutely fantastic. Looks so aggressive. So out of the Grundig turn, heading up towards the S's, and then through the final turn, and now across the timing line. And this will be the lap that will count, presumably, for Esteban. Through the Grundig turn. Careful how you power up out of that turn so as not to get the back end clattering against concrete, which is less than desirable. Through the S's now, first right, then left. There we can see all the cars on their approach to the S's. The rubber you can see that's being cast aside from the tyres. And then on to the Zeppelinstrasse. Straight, which kind of isn't a straight because it has got a kink in it, which we delineate as turn number 6. And there the number 4 car of Lukas Stolz, who is 5th fastest. It's Rast, Olsen, Preining, Guven, then it is Stolz, Meini, Auer, Vanderlinder, K, Kelvin, P8, Nico Muller, P9, and Mauro Engel, P10. And Nico Muller is on something of a hot one now. By dint of the purple sector 1, but sector 2 not so good for Nico Muller. Down a little bit in sector 2. It's not necessarily all strife though, because if he delivers a really, really good third sector, of course all the sectors are so short at the Norisring. And Nico Muller crosses the timing line with a 50.23, which is P6. 50.023. Thomas Preining is at the top of the chart now with a 49.872, with a lot of traffic ahead. So Thomas Preining wrestling away that P1 place from René Rast. And Dennis Olsen's steadfast in P3 at the moment. Ayenchan Guven is back out on track with just a minute and a half remaining. And you see how Lucas Auer and Thomas Preining weaving from side to side. So is anyone going to come with a late blast then in this FP session ahead of free practice this afternoon and lay the gauntlet down for what is to come when it comes to qualifying and the races tomorrow, or the race tomorrow and then further race on Sunday? Preining, Rast, Olsen, it's Porsche, Audi, Porsche, Ferrari with Ayenchan Guven, who I have to say has taken to the DTM like the proverbial duck to water. There's Lukas Stolz, Nico Muller, Arjun Meini, Kelvin Vanderlinder, Lucas Auer, and Sheldon Vanderlinder, who has just been bested by Frank Pereira, who goes P10. Here comes Preining then. Wow. Thomas Preining presumably with traffic through the middle sector because his first sector was an 18 dead, which I think is the one of the best sector 1 times that we have seen. So Preining obviously finding pace through the first sector. A 49.83 for Thomas Preining. René Rast 49.9. It's so close. 8/100ths between P1 and P2. And every single driver out on track, barring the top 5, who are all in the 49s. Everyone else is in the 50s. So it's but a second and a 10th that cover the entire 26 cars. Extraordinary stuff. Checkered flag is out on the FP session then as Mirko Bortolotti crosses the line, and there is the number 88 car of Maro Engel, and there's Nico Müller. Kelvin Vanderlinder crosses the line and finishes the FP session as well, and the only drivers still to cross the line are Marco Vittman, Felipe Fraga, David Schumacher, who improves one place right at the end of the FP session. Also improving is Michael Grenier. He improves right at the end of the session as well, and there we have it. The free practice session 1 is done and dusted live from the Norisring, the DTM weekend here in Prospect. So confirmation of who did what then. And Thomas Breining was the fastest with a 0.4983. What a time. And then, as you can see, across the top 10, it's split by just a couple of tenths. So Breining from Rast, from Olsen, from Ayenchan Guven. It's Müller, Stoltz, Miney, Kelvin Vanderlinder, Lucas Au, and Sheldon Vanderlinder, the top 10 from free practice 1 here at the Norisring, with Thomas Breining then for KUS team Bernhard then putting it to the top of the chart. Second page, it's Frank Pereira, good debut in the DTM. Maro Engel, Lawrence Vantor, Marco Vittman. Then we see Michael Grenier, Philipp Eng, Clemens Schmidt, Felipe Fraga, Mirko Bortolotti P19, and more to come from him, I feel sure, and more to come from Dev Gore, as well as Maxi Gertz, David Schumacher, Ricardo Feller, Maxi Bug, Maris Zug, Esteban Moot, and Delado, the only driver not to set a time. That was free practice 1. Please make sure you join us for free practice 2 this afternoon. Bye-bye for now.